Did you know that the Phuket News, Live 89.5, Novosti Phuketa and Phuket News TV are all part of the same company? Class Act Media, your island, your media partner.
Welcome, and it's time to review this week's The Phuket News. The managing editor, Simon Ostheimer, thank you very much for turning up.
Thank you for having me again.
A little bit of a controversial week. We've got a front page story that has drawn a bit of attention. Just very briefly, what's the story?
As you can see, the headline, She's My Wife, it's basically there was a personal dispute, or romantic entanglement, as you may say, between two guys and a lady caught in the middle. It's some pretty dramatic footage of these two guys facing off. But really,
that's the story, isn't it? That it was caught on video.
Caught on video, yeah. But really, I'd like to say if people want to see the whole thing, it's best to go to the website, thephuket.news.com, and have a read of the story and then watch the accompanying footage. I don't kind of want to ruin it.
Yeah, and also read all the comments, because a lot of people got quite different views about what happened, or if it's even fake or not. So quite interesting to have a look at that. We've got a bit of a video theme with this week's news. Let's move on to the bike diver story.
Yep.
This was also some amazing video on the Google machine this week.
Yeah, and this is great. We're having sort of readers increasingly, and we were just talking about this, come into the news office and present us with video or emailing us links, and it's leading to fantastic stories, and we're thankful for people for sharing these movies with us. But this was a Belarusian basically driving a Patong late at night on Sunday, and went straight into a massive hole that was couldn't see it because of floodwaters,
the water,
basically, and his bike went down something like 2.5 meters.
Oh. Yeah, that'd wake you up.
Yeah.
But the video that goes with it is quite dramatic.
Well, the good thing, I mean, he didn't just leave it at that. He decided, I'm going to retrieve my bike. And so he went in, and not only did he get his bike, he also got the bike of a Thai man who'd also driven to the same hole, I think 5 minutes apart.
And I suppose that hole is still there as we speak.
Yeah, but more fenced off, and unlikely more people will be going into it.
Ongoing protests on the island, the white mask protests. We now had 2 of these protests, and there's going to be another one this Sunday and ongoing. And it's all about, I think it started off as a bit of a protest against the Thai PM. Thai PM, but also Phua Thai as a whole, the party. Phuket's always been a yellow shirt, a Democrat stronghold, and obviously the national government's of a different colour, and so what started out as a protest against an individual has now become more a protest against their rule in altogether. And the white masks are being sold at all these rallies, so if you do want your white mask, you can buy one there.
Yes.
The white masks, which represent Guy Fawkes, as represented in the film V for Vendetta.
That's right.
I didn't know Guy Fawkes, and I've never seen the film, but if you want to know what the white mask, it's just scary. How does your son, who hates clowns, go with white masks?
I'm never going to put one on. I think it would be a disaster.
Freak him out.
Yep.
We've had a whole lot of visits during the week, including 17 ambassadors that have come down to speak to the governor about, I suppose in inverted commas, all the regular issues.
Yeah. Quite remarkable to have this many all at once to be on the island. As you say, 17
European ambassadors. It's the whole EU, isn't it?
I think that's not even half actually now, since it's expanded. But the usual issues, but these are ongoing problems for Phuket. I mean, they had a lot of good words to say as well about the way that the province is changing, but also things to do with the tourists, the regular stories about the tuk-tuks, the taxi drivers, public transport.
Yeah, we could write the list just like that.
Yeah, and the government, they're doing their best. There are some promising initiatives, but basically they just want to come and highlight that there are ongoing issues and just kind of represent their nationals' concerns.
They did come on a good day because it happened to fall on the date that the English celebrate the Queen's birthday, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
And I think English is probably the correct word, because the Welsh and the Scottish and the Northern Irish are maybe less likely to be celebrating Her Majesty.
Okay, all right. These are little home disputes that you can leave back in the UK. But there was a big shindig, I think we call it, at the Royal Phuket Marina, and some 350 people turned up. The who's who.
Yep.
You weren't there, I noticed.
No. Well,
but I was.
I'm from Hong Kong, but I do have a British passport, so there's,
Okay, well, yes, you're those English. Yes. But a big night, and I'm sure the European ambassadors had a good finish to their visit with the governor that day. A really interesting little picture. The picture probably paints the 1,000 words on page 7 of the Phuket News this week. Tell us about this sign.
Yeah, down in Nai Han, and we've raised this issue before. You know, during low season, during rainy season, the waves are very strong, powerful. People often get themselves into trouble offshore, and so we're not sure who's done it, but basically the sign down there saying "Do not swim" has a huge skull and crossbones on it. So if you didn't get the message from the words, the image alone will deter you from going in.
If you don't get the message by just looking out at the sea, then the skull and crossbones might get it across. That's cool. So back to our video theme this week, and the monks rebuked over jet ride is the headline on page 10. You're not quite sure if this is Ridgy-Didge, this particular video.
Well, you've always got to wonder about these publicly released videos, but essentially it's a bunch of monks. They're on this private jet, which, you know, something in itself. They're being taken home, and I believe they have one has a Louis Vuitton bag, and they have all sorts of gadgetry, sunglasses, and all these things.
Mobile phones.
As a monk, you're meant to be austere. You're meant to be without possessions, and in this case they have everything in the world, so
including the Learjet.
So another video story, actually, as it happens.
It's a lot of video this week. I suppose that's the way things are going, though, and the way that we find out a lot about some of these stories is by a video making itself onto the Google machine, and then we grab it and make it into a story. So it's you can't sort of press a button on the paper and get the link. Make it happen.
I've always talked about that, doing the Harry Potter newspaper. I think it will happen at some point.
No doubt. All at Sea is the front of the Life magazine this week, which is the magazine right in the middle of the Phuket News every week. And the main story is about the sea gypsies.
Yes,
Ongoing story, the poor sea gypsies are all at sea is the headline. I suppose that sort of says it. They've really got no place, no home.
But yet they've been here forever. And some people say they may have been here before even Thais were here. I mean, they're native to the area. Thais.
Oh, Thais. So talking about the tuk-tuks.
I would say they're here before Thais as well, before transport arrived on the island.
Yes.
But ongoing saga. They transient people. They've never had proper paperwork to demonstrate they own the land that they live on, but they've always assumed it was theirs because they've always been there. And now there's several cases going through the courts where they could be kicked off their own property and left homeless, as you say.
They won't be the first Indigenous people to suffer displacement. It's happened.
And you would know about that.
Yes, as an Australian. It's an ongoing problem for many cultures around the world.
Yes.
I suppose we as Phuketians need to embrace them as people that have been here and do our best to try and find some sort of more permanent solution and home for them.
Yes, that includes them in general society.
Most importantly, just to have respect for their situation. The barber culture, they've got their big wedding on Saturday. Barber culture big in Phuket town.
Well, if people are not familiar with it, the barbers are also known as the Peranakans, and they're basically Chinese people, immigrant Chinese, who have been here for over 100 years, and they're also related to people in Penang, Malacca, Singapore, and it's kind of like...
They're sort of the people of the Malacca Straits, weren't they?
Yeah, but it was originally from China, but they came to this part of the world and then kind of intertwined with local customs and traditions to create something unique. And so Phuket's association, having the big Baba wedding this weekend, so people will be getting married, but also it's kind of a chance just to see the costumes and the traditions and the procession. And we have an interview with the president of the Phuket Barbers, so the Phuket Baba Papa, as we put it.
The Baba Papa?
Basically on his community, his background, and what he sees for the future for the Peranakans.
And we'll have some video of that on Phuket News TV next week. Look forward to that. The movie review this week, Tom Metcalf, went down to see Superman.
Not so super.
No, I have to probably agree with him in this case. I went to see it. And rebooting, I don't know, there's been so many movies and TV series about Superman. Where do you go with it?
What was your opinion on the last one? Because the last one was meant to be the reboot that started it again.
It sort of didn't really excite me. This one is one of these really modern CGI movies. I think they spent a bit more time playing with the CGI than they did sort of working on a script or searching for good characters. But no, it didn't really do it for me, but the cinema was packed when I went to see it.
I think it's done well financially. It's going to make a ton of money at the box office, but I just kind of wonder how many times can they reboot movies. I mean, just look at SpiderMan. They redid that. Very well done, Sam Raimi.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden they decide, you know what, let's go back and tell that story one more time. I think you kind of have to move forward with these things, not continually go back.
My theory is that it's because these big studios are now not made by movie makers or people with passion. They're run by accountants.
Yep.
So they go and think, oh, this will be safe. We know we can get our money back on this, rather than going for that new story that no one's ever heard before, that we're not quite sure about.
Well, I'm not against continuing with the same characters. I mean, there's always going to be support, especially for these superheroes, but you do what Star Wars does. You tell another story, you take another angle. I mean, if you could imagine if they redid the original Star Wars, they'd be uproar. Anyway, it's the news.
Did you
not the
say
film.
that? In sport this week, one thing that we went down to, all the way down in Qatar Beach, I think I meant to say, is the surf flow. Did you even know that this surf flow thing was down there in Qatar Beach?
Yes, no, I'd heard about it. They have another one in Bangkok as well.
That's right.
Yeah, and when the surf's not sufficient off Phuket, this is a great place to go down and learn the basics and also show off some skills because it creates a perfect wave continuously.
We went down there on the Phuket News TV last week and got some fantastic footage, including some really good slow motion stuff. It's somewhere between surfing or snowboarding or skateboarding, but watching people learn how to do it, it does not look easy at all.
And I'm sure there's probably other surfers out there who see it as, is this the real surfing, real waves, but it definitely gives people an opportunity to at least get a taste for it, and then they can take to the ocean.
And the little cafe and bar there is doing great business. Simon Ostheimer, thank you very much. Available at 600 locations.
The paper, not myself.
No. But you go down there and you meet people and you shake their hand and...
Autograph on occasion.
Yeah, sell the copies.
Yep.
Do you give the 20 baht back to the organisation though?
Always.
I think we're going to check on that. The Phuket News, available out now. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.